YouTube, welcome to my channel. I'm Bella, and today I'm going to be reviewing the National Theatre's Madness of King George, which was actually filmed at the Nottingham Playhouse. Who's in it? Mark Gatiss plays King George III, who is a historical character, just so that we get that out of the way. He's one of the 4 Georges of the Hanoverian family that came over after William and Mary died. So there's George I, George II, George III, George IV, so on and so on and so forth, etc. George III is particularly famous for, one, having a rather stable family. He had a wife, Queen Charlotte, who is one of the reasons why we get the Charlotte tart from. They had 15 children. They did a lot of gardening, they were into farming, agriculture. He was very scientific. He enjoyed clocks, weights, measures, forces, astrology. He was quite a smart guy, but he was known to be very, very basic. He liked things punctual, he liked balancing books, he liked to keep life in order, which unfortunately for him, he lost his sanity. But there's kind of like a complex reasons for that. He had ongoing issues with the Prince of Wales, known as Prim, who eventually became George IV. Yeah, he was very fat and liked actresses. He lost his 4-year-old son, little Octavian, who dies, and he also was responsible for Britain losing America. And these 3 facts pushed his sanity to the edge. They actually think that he had some kind of genetic disease to do with his blue wee, which is how this play starts. It's got an excellent performance by Mark Gatiss. He dominates it. He has the right amount of tics yet rationality, so you can always see the sane King George inside the madness, and that is really, really well done. The women there are a lot of women in this play, which is unusual because there's actually only 2 female roles in this. There is Queen Charlotte, obviously, and then there's Queen Charlotte's Lady of the Bedchamber, Lady Pembroke. The other roles that the women fill are all the doctors, so we have a lot of females playing male doctors, which is interesting in itself from this period. Don't be a doctor in this period, or don't be a patient in this period, because you're just going to get tortured. There's lots of reds, blues and browns, the main colours, the strong characters in this play, and it's really rather good. There was a film done of the Madness of King George III, and that was excellent, and the play is obviously based off that, but it was brilliant. I loved the set pieces, how they moved in and out, like they were sort of right angles on both sides and they could move in and out, and there was always like thrones in the middle. It's brilliant. There's a lot of Handel music, obviously, because that's of the period, because Handel was writing and composing at this time, and George III actually was one of his patrons and really liked hearing it repeatedly. Yes, gardening next door. So overall, I'm going to give the play 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I found it quite amusing. How can a play about madness be amusing? There's references to King Lear and all sorts of other things within this play. It's nicely paced and it isn't too dull, because you don't want a dull play. This is good. Obviously there's issues between the Pitts, Pitt the Younger, Pitt the Elder, and obviously the current Prime Minister, because the big thing is the monarch at this period in time is far more involved in governance than British monarchs are today, which means that if the king can't assist the government, can't support his government in governing, it means that the Prince of Wales has got to step up and become regent. Now, George IV, as Prim will go on to be, would rather like this, because he's been waiting and waiting and waiting. It's one of the perils of being the Prince of Wales, is you do a lot of waiting and you have to sort of make your own role. and it can be very tedious, especially if you've got an overbearing father and an overbearing mother. But so you've got all of this family tension around governance, but it's quite interesting that the Prime Minister that King George has at the time, his own father went mad, and it's interesting that that particular Prime Minister puts in place certain safeguards to the King's care, which I thought was interesting for this particular time period. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it out 5 out of 5. Do check it out. It is on YouTube as we speak. I'm loving the fact that the National Theatre are opening and showing their plays, because it's good to keep cultural life going, particularly plays at this time, because we can't go to the theatre. It's such a shame that the cinema hasn't done the same thing and actually released some of the films that were going to be released this year. Because the last film that I actually saw was Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, or its proper title, which is Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. It's so annoying that that was the last film I saw. The other thing I saw at the cinema this year was actually the play, another play, earlier in the year, in March. So, and I saw Harley Quinn in February, so I haven't been to the cinema since then, and we are now in June, and I was supposed to be going and seeing Wonder Woman 1984, is it 1985? And I was also looking forward to seeing Morbius. Yes, I'm a little bit peeved that I can't go to the cinema and see films. I do love watching plays, so thank goodness that the theatres are actually streaming them on YouTube for free. You can donate if you would like to. So overall, do check out The Madness of King George III. It's a good historical play, and it's in regular spoken English, so it's not Shakespearean, so you don't have that language barrier. It's very direct, and it is a bit bawdy and rude, but that's what they were like. You do have to understand some of the historical context for it, but it's okay, and it does explain itself fairly well, actually. There are a lot of piss jokes, sorry, but there are in it, because one of the weird things about King George's illness is that his urine went from yellow to blue, and we don't know why. There are loads of theories about that today. He did, this was his first major dip into madness, which he recovered from, but as he got older he did unfortunately dip into proper madness towards the end of his life, and his son did have to become regent. This play is about his first episode, which he was able to get out of because he still had his rational wits, and he wasn't as old as he goes on to be later, where he completely goes into madness, which is a real shame, because he was actually a fairly decent king when all is said and done. Yeah, they're all odd. Yeah. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you are thinking, whether you're watching any plays, which ones are you watching. Let me know. Thank you, and bye.